Here's another quick way to make half square triangles. Instead of cutting first and then sewing, you sew first and then you cut this diagonal. This is a good method to use if you'll be sewing triangles together to form a square like this, as seen in the corners of this block. But it wouldn't work if you just needed one single triangle, like here in this block. The first step is to find out the finished size of your triangle. You'll need to measure one of the shorter sides of the triangle. In this case, that's 2 inches. Then you add an inch to the finished side. 2 plus 1 equals 3 inches. That's the size of the square that you'll need to cut. So I've cut my squares here. I made sure that my fabric was pressed and I put right sides together, and I cut this out on the straight of grain and cross grain. Take a marking pen or pencil and draw a line through the diagonal. I'm using my mat here to help me find that line, but you can just take a ruler, put it up there. I'm also going very gently or softly through this line because it's on the bias. If I were to go like this, I'm going to be stretching that line. When you stretch the bias, then the fabric gets distorted and you'll throw off your accuracy. So there's my line. I will take this to the machine and I'm going to sew 1/4 of an inch on this side and 1/4 of an inch on that side. I have 1/4 of an inch foot on my sewing machine, so the distance from here to here is 1/4 of an inch. That makes it easy. But if you don't have 1/4 inch on your sewing machine, then you can take your ruler and draw a line 1/4 of an inch over on this side and 1/4 of an inch over on that side. Well, here's my sewn piece, and now I'm ready to cut the diagonal. So let me get my ruler. I'm just going to come right over here. I don't have to worry about that 1/4 inch seam. I could cut right here if I wanted to because I've already sewn the fabric, but I like to try to stay as close as I can to that marked line because it helps with the pressing later on. So there I've cut, and now I have 2 sets of half square triangles. Now I'm ready to square up. So I want to make sure that the diagonal on the fabric piece is underneath the diagonal on my ruler. I want a little extra all the way around. Let me trim. Nope, I moved a little, so that's okay. Since it's the first trim, I can get set back in there. Trim that off. I want to turn this around, and now I'm ready. I'm cutting a 2.5 inch square. The 1/2 inch marks, whoops, the 1/2 inch mark is here, the 1/2 inch mark is there. I'm going to line up my cut edge with that mark. I want to make sure that my diagonal is lined up. And I have a 2.5 inch square where the diagonal runs out on the. You can find more information about cutting and sewing half square triangles at learnhowtoquilt.com under Beginner Basics, Cutting and Sewing.